pairing. Oh, okie dokie. So now if I go on to, this is always new to me, chaps, if you're listening to me. I do not know. Have you got pairing connected yet? Oh, here we go. Okie dokie. Oh, I think this is me. I better mute the sound on this. This is always new to me, chaps, if you're listening to me. Right, okay. It says, see, I just clicked on the link and it said, you haven't got permission. So I turned it off, turned it back on again, as in, you know, shut it down, opened it up again, put in the same stuff, clicked the link, and it said, yes, fine, okay, off you go. So there we go. Wonders and wonders and wonders and wonders of technology. What can you do with technology? Well, what you could do, of course, is throw it all away, and we could use stone knives and things, bearskins. Star Trek said that. But then, of course, stone knives and technology which you use to get bearskins, unless you happen to have a bear just walk up to you and die, which isn't very likely. I think if a bear walks up to you and there's a chance of one of you dying, it's not necessarily going to be the bear. In fact, I'd say it's probably not going to be the bear. Anyway, that's not what I was here to talk about. Sorry. My sense of humour is a little bit strange, a little bit dry, corny, a mess, but you know, it's there. I try not to be the boring old whatnot you see on the screen, but I'm trying to get the information across as easy and as quickly as I can, because I don't like long videos. Long videos for the sake of long videos are just videos that are too long. So that's the way I try and do it, and I try and keep it simple. Anyway, right, here we go. Today, live in London. Well, it's not London, it's outside London. I told you that last week. Still got the picture of the London Eye up because it's pretty. I like that picture. I did have a choice, but what I will do though is I will show you something that I saw the other day, which is, if I can do this, see, this isn't actually my setup, so just bear with. This was something that the other day I was quite happily looking at, thinking, wow, don't see that very often. And see if you can see that. That is what we had at about 2 o'clock in the morning when I went out there. Carried on for many hours. As you can see, it's only just started there. We ended up with about 2 inches of snow around where I live. A lot of places had it a lot worse, but this is England, and we last had proper snow in this area about 2018, and that was for a whole day, and I lost my motorbike. Fell off it 4 times on the way home from work, and when my wife came and picked me up in the car, and when we went back the next morning, it was not where we left it, and never seen it since, which was a real shame, because I'm sure the people who nicked it didn't know what they had, because I had a really cheap Sinus, which is a very good bike, and of course it was a 250 Sinus. It looked like a BSA, and yeah, it didn't go like a BSA. Well, it went better than a BSA probably would go, but it looked like a 1960s BSA, and I think whoever nicked it thought it was. Trouble is, it was 2 grand's worth of bike. I didn't have 2 grand, but there we go. Anyway, I haven't driven a motorbike since 2017, and that's the reason why. Anyway, that's the story of the Sinus. What I did do though is I bought a car. Then I bought a nice little Renault Clio, 550 quid it cost me. Diesel, £20 a year road tax. Beautiful little thing it was. And hang on, let's get rid of the. Let's go for something out of this world. There we go. Yeah, beautiful little car it was. It had been obviously used by a drug dealer because the windows were really tinted, and the front ones were okay, but the rear ones were. And it smelt like, well, pharmaceuticals, I think is the word. And when I was going to clean it up the other week, last year actually, I was pulling some bits and pieces off, and I found various things hidden in various panels behind which you wouldn't normally go. I was putting in the dash cam. Remember I did a video on dash cams? Well, the thing is, I put the dash cam in on and had to remove the side panels to run the wires, and there was yeah, we won't go there. Anyway, so that was that. I always had to have an air freshener in that car because whatever it was they were doing in it, it actually permeated into the fabric of the car, and so I didn't want one of those Christmas tree type things, but I had to have something similar just to make the car bearable. And so that if I ever got pulled over, nobody thought I'd been doing things in it like that. Anyway, so that was that. That was a nice little Renault Clio, 1500cc diesel. And yeah, used to do 65 to the gallon. But this year, around about January, February-ish, after we'd had the problem with my daughter's car, my wife, we had a problem with our Sandero, and my one was being used as the family car, and it decided it was going to go boo. That was the noise it made anyway. Then it didn't do anything else, and we got picked up by the RAC, taken to home, and that was fun. Never been towed by one of those funny bracket things that they have to be careful. It's a rigid thing. They attach it to the towing eye, but if you get it wrong, it tears the front of your car off. It's great fun. Anyway, yeah. So we were using that, and I got the car picked up and taken away, and I told them I wanted to find it because the RAC man has said quite genuinely, he said, it might only be a minor problem, might be 150 quid to get it fixed, new injector or something, because the engine had just died, and it was coming up with the error message, injectors. So quite happily sent it off. Told them just want to find out what's wrong, decide whether I want to do anything with it because I didn't spend that much money on it. Anyway, got a phone call much later in the day. I phoned them up and said, how are you getting on with the car, what's it going to cost? And they said, we fixed it. And I said, yeah, okay. So what's the damage then? Thinking it was nice and quick. It had been gone they'd picked it up on the Friday, and this was the Monday. And he said 936 quid. What? I hadn't spent that much on it, and it only just had an MOT a couple of months earlier. January it had an MOT and spent 400 quid on it. Anyway, 936 quid. So I went and paid it, got in the car, drove it down the road, and it didn't work. It was going chuff, 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 chuff. I literally went around the block. It was no more than 5 minutes. Got back to the MOT station and said to them, because that's where I took it, I said, it doesn't work. Oh, better have a look. So the guy got into it and he drove off down the road. And about 10 minutes later, he's walking back. It had broken down on him. Anyway, that's the story of the Clio. So that was one motoring disaster that cost a lot of money. There is more to that story, but I won't bore you with it now. And this is the other one. In the absence of anything else, this is what I'm going to talk about. Let's have a look and see if there's anything on here. See if there's anybody else on here yet. Robert Fowler. Hi, how you doing? Yeah, I'm not doing bad. Got a cold. You know this cold that everybody's got? Well, I've got it as well. I've got it as well. So it's a bit of a problem. And yeah. You may notice it's a little bit nasal, a bit more nasal than normal. But it's, other than that, you just got to keep on keeping on, haven't you? Right, let's see. I've got... I don't really... As you know, this is only the third attempt at doing anything live, so I shall give it a go. If you've got anything you want to say, I've now realised that I wasn't looking at me chat, so if you want to say something, type it in the chat on the YouTube, and I will make sure that I refer to it and give you an answer or whatever. Right, I thought I'd tell you about this. Now, bear with, I've got to click on something. I hope what you're going to see is... oh, that wasn't what I expected. Let's have a look. I want to do that. I think what you should see now is a Sandero, Dacia Sandero, which should be up in the minute now. There we go. Oh, right, I'm looking at my own transmission here, which means that you can work out how big the delay is, which is fun. Anyway, that's not our Sandero, but we have a blue 2013 version of one of those. And I shall dispose of that because that actually isn't ours. The number plate, ignore the number plate. That's probably a very nice car and it's for sale. And if you want to go and buy it, then fine. Let me just unshare. Go back to me. Oh, there we go. Right, now the reason I'm mentioning that, it makes much more sense now. I've got two screens here, by the way, people, so if you think I'm looking in the wrong direction, it's because I am, and it's because I don't really know what I'm doing. And I will get better. I will try and do these things properly. But, you've got to start somewhere. Every journey starts with the first fall over. I mean, walk, step, whatever. Anyway, so I thought you might like to know about the Sandero, because that had a technical problem. We had a problem where not the last MOT, previous MOT sailed through, no problem at all. 2013 car went through, no problem. About a month later, wife sends me a message. What's this light mean? There's a little light come on. It says airbag. I don't know. Did it do anything else? No, that's fine. Looked up on the internet. It says it's probably a seat switch. So, yeah. Anyway, the car worked, so we ran it for 11 months. Took it in to be repaired, stroke, MOT'd this year. And the guy did a reasonable job. He found out that the ECU control unit was broken. He took the lid off it because it didn't work. And you could see there was a blown component in it, which is very, very good. But this caused two problems. First of all, the car then said, well, if that bit doesn't work, I'm not going to work. So it was now immobilized and would not move. And secondly, because of COVID and all the rest of it, the ECUs, the airbag ECUs weren't available. And we had to wait until September. This was January. No, this was, January. And we had to wait till September to get a replacement part. Or was it August? No, it actually was August. It was the second week of August. So we had this car that had been totally immobilized from then until then. And, the guy had charged us for the part. He'd ordered the correct part. It was 300 and something quid, including fitting. He was happy. And we were not happy, but we were, waiting for the bit to come in because there is a shortage of semiconductors and things, Dacia, if you're interested, is part of Renault. And so when it came in, he fitted it and it didn't work. So he checked it and it didn't work. And he spoke to people and it didn't work. And he checked all the wiring and it didn't work. And he checked the wiring again, it didn't work. And it kept on saying, why aren't the side airbags connected? Well, if you've got one of those, they don't have side airbags. And it was saying other things. And so he got in touch with a security company that does Renault securities. And they didn't know what was wrong, but they checked it was all right and said, yeah, there's no reason why it shouldn't be working. It just doesn't work. So then they, what did they do then? Eventually they got it to Renault and said, Renault London, and said, can you have a look at this car, please? Because it doesn't work. And there's a story from the parts guy saying, yeah, they've got a problem with these bits. They're not the right bits. They've been sent out. They've got the same part number and everything, so it should just work. But they're not the right bits, and we don't really know how to make them work. So anyway, there's one guy in Renault London who knows how to make them work, apparently, and he was on holiday. So we went on holiday, and while we were on holiday, we got a phone call saying, oh, your car's working. Right. What's the damage? Bearing in mind we'd already paid 300 quid, and that's what we were expecting it to cost, because it was £200 for the ECU and basically £100 for the troubleshooting. Oh, he says 1,250 quid or thereabouts. £1,250. Where did that come from? Turns out Renault seem to think that it's fair enough to supply a part with the correct part number to a car that it's called for that doesn't actually fit or work. And it's that you then have to pay Renault, as in Renault London, and the one guy who knows how to make it work, and they have to change things. They have to reprogram the thing. They have to change sensors. They have to change the crash sensors and everything else. And after all that, they will then charge you about £900 for doing that, plus the bits. If you argue with them, they knock it down by 65%, and we end up with a bill of 400 and something plus the actual £300 plus. So anyway, that's how it worked out, because we had to take it up to London and all the rest of it. We ended up paying £1,200 for what should have been a £300 repair. If you've got a Dacia Sandero, one of the early ones, and your airbag light comes on, you want to be careful, because this is going to happen to you. If your airbag light comes on, you can't get it through the MOT, even though the car is probably running fine at the time because of the red light. But if you get the right part ordered up, it won't fit. It will, well, it'll physically fit, but it won't work, and you'll need all the modifications done. Now, I reckon it's not unreasonable to say to Renault, but, you know, hang on, play the game. You supplied the part which didn't work, then making it work shouldn't actually have cost us anything because it's the only part that's available. But Renault say, it's out of guarantee, it's out of warranty, end of story, go away. That was that. That was a quick story, but if you've got one of those, you might want to be aware of that. Right, okay, is there anybody else watching? Let's have a look. I don't suppose there is. Oh, 2 now. So, that's interesting. That's good. That's a 100% increase. And Robert Fowler, I presume, is still there. And number 2, come in. Your time is up. You can say something on the chat. More than happy to. Let me type in here. Say hi. Because I'm just going to ramble on otherwise, and I'd rather talk about something that people want to hear about rather than me just going on. Do you ever see one of these? Magic piece of kit. Hang on, got to go that way. I've got zoom on, as you can tell, but it means that my studio is not a studio. It's literally a camera in front of a green curtain. Oh, there it goes. And that is it's an Olympus, and it's really good. You can record hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of audio on it. It's got 4 gigabytes. I used to use that in my pocket to record everything and anything, and it's really high quality, better than DVD and all that sort of thing. But it's not like the sort of thing you see Techmoan having or Recordology. It's not one of those things. This is just a good quality recorder. It's not an excellent quality recorder, but I think it was about 50 quid, and it fits in a tip pocket, so it's very good for that. Let me see, what else is there to say? Now something you might find of interest. You'll find that I did it lit up. It lit up again. I did a review on this watch, which you can see I'm still wearing. I've still got my Fitbit, which I also use. And I'm doing it as a sort of a long-term test because I thought I'd give this a go. And it's very good. I like it. And actually, because it's got a couple of features that the Fitbit hasn't got, it came in very useful the other week. Yesterday, last Thursday. Don't know if I'd eaten something I shouldn't have eaten or something, but it was really quite unpleasant. Some sort of shivering, headache, spinning world, all the rest of it. We thought it was possibly carbon monoxide poisoning because all the symptoms were there, except for didn't have the pains in the chest, didn't have the accelerated heartbeat. How did I know that? Because this has got, if I can find it, it monitors your heartbeat. Now it says there, I can't turn it, well I can. It says there 90, which is what I'm currently at. No, it's 82. It's quite good. But what it has got, which is also very useful, apart from your blood oxygen level, is it monitors your temperature, which I don't know if you can see on there, but it will come up with, in a minute, possibly, my body temperature, as opposed to my skin temperature. There it goes, which it says is 36, exactly. So that means I'm healthy. And if I'd got carbon monoxide poisoning, that would have been wrong. And because I had this watch on, and because I was monitoring various things, I knew that although I felt like I was going to die, it was probably food poisoning and not carbon monoxide poisoning, which was quite useful because it was slightly reassuring. Because if you haven't got 2 of the symptoms that you need, you probably haven't got the disease or the symptoms that predicate the medical condition that you might have had. Predicate, there's a good word for you. Anyway, that was that. So I'm going to do a follow-up on that because that's an interesting thing. Started doing a video today on another tape. Still waiting for the bits for my Hitachi boombox, which would be nice when they come in. I've ordered them from AliExpress. If that works, I might get one for I've got a Teac w-700, I think it is, which has got a couple of problems. I might do a strip down on that, see if there's anything we can do with there. What else is there? I don't know really. This is where it turns into trigger. Oh, I know what I was going to do. Anybody got any interest in one of these? I don't mean to sell it. I mean, just I can do a video on it if there's any interest. It's a Fujifilm 3D camera jobby, and it's really good actually. I can take a picture of me taking a picture of me. Yeah, that is actually a proper 3D picture in there, which you can't see it because you're only watching it on 2D. But I could do that if there's any interest. If there isn't any interest, then I won't. Well, actually, if there isn't any interest, I'll do it anyway, because somebody who isn't watching will probably find it of interest. And let me see, what else is there? I've got a v-1200 machine that I'm trying to get a safety capacitor for. I've been in communication with 12-volt 99 vid99 about that, and a couple of other things. Oh, I tell you what, I sorted that. When was it? Sunday. There's a video on my channel called where it's about an hour, and it sort of says enough power to heat the room. And it specifies 2,500 watts or something like that as being the output on this music center from the late 80s, early 90s. And it was trying to get the maths to work was really, really difficult, because I knew what they said it was, and I knew what it actually was. And having gone through the manuals, it took ages to do the video, actually. It's just a shame that more people didn't watch it. But anyway, I had to go through the manuals, find out all the specifications, find out what exactly they were saying. And it turns out that they bent the maths. They used the maths, they fiddled the maths, and then they bent the maths. They didn't quite break the maths, but if you really, really, really wanted to, you could say they over-exaggerated it slightly. Just a bit. And so what I did then, I did the video and put that up, and it was quite interesting. But I was out on Sunday with somebody, and they were wanting to use a PA for a music thing, and they said, "Oh, we got this lovely PA. It's 700 watt." They wanted to fill a room. It was like the size of a school hall, sort of community centre. So I said to them, "Hang on, do you want to melt people's ears, because 700 watts is a lot of power?" "Oh, no. They said, "Yeah, I bought this thing for doing outside stuff. The built-in thing, we can't get the PA to work, so I thought we can use this one." I said, "Well, okay, 700 watts." So connected it up, fired it up, and hey presto, really distorted and horrible. It was not 700 watts. So I looked at the back of the thing, and if anybody's interested, put some comments in the comments below, and I'll give you some more details. But cut a long story short, I looked at it, and it said that the input was 100 volts to 240 volts, and it was 0.2 to 0.4 amps, or 0.4 to 0.2 amps. And so therefore, I'm figuring that 0.4 must be the 110 volts, and 0.2 must be the 240 volts. Work that out. It's nowhere near 700 watts. I wonder how they did the maths to get that, because it was only a mono thing. If you take away the quiescent current, it works. I think it works out at 48 watts or something silly like that. It's just if I just do it on the calculator here. Right, so it's if I do 0.2 times 240, that equals 48. So the input power was 48 watts. Now, if you've got a battery-operated device, you can have an instantaneous power that is higher than if you had a normal mains-operated thing. But RMS on that is 48 watts, because you can't pull more power than you can supply. Instantaneously you could, but not at the time. But how can anybody tell me how you can get from those figures, 0.2 and 240 volts, How can you get 700 watts without lying? Comments below, please. Anybody who's got the maths for that, that'd be great. I will give more details in the comments if anybody's interested. But that was that one. And now, what else was there? I don't think there's anything else much. I've got a couple of videos in the offing. I've got one on a tape at the moment, going back to the original sort of thing. And I'm going to do a couple of equipments. Don't know if anybody's interested in that sort of thing, but apparently everybody's interested in the... Now this is... Oh, let's do it that way. This is interesting. This is the WD-400 effects pedal, which is quite nice. Using that as a reverb and things. And I've also got some other stuff which I'm going to be doing. Just trying to sort of stop people falling into the traps, the marketing traps. I mean, if you spend 20 quid on something and it works, it's a bargain. But if you spend 20 quid on something and it doesn't work, in my opinion, it's not a bargain, it's a rip-off. If you spend 500 quid on something and it doesn't work, it's a real rip-off. 900 quid and you're crying, aren't you? But anyway, that's another story. Right, well, I shall have a look and see where we're going now. Interesting, maybe. Hopefully you found something of interest here. I've had the update on the computer battery. It was fitted to the computer and it's working beautifully. And which was a big fingers crossed moment because of the damage or potential damage to the track block, whatever. Trackpad, that's the word, trackpad. That was interestingly, it sort of undistorted itself, so hopefully that's going to stay okay. But we've been using the computer since, so that's good. The battery is still waiting to be disposed of because I'm just monitoring what it's doing. As you may have seen, it went from 1/4 inch to 1¼ inches. Then it decided it was going to let itself down, and now it's sitting at about 3/4 inch. And I'm just keeping a close eye on it and see where we go from there. What else? Well, unless you want me to play harmonica or sing Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. I don't know the rest of the words, so I won't bother. I would gladly, if anybody wanted me to, I would gladly learn a song and sing it. It's the sort of thing that I could do. I'm one of these people who assumes I can do everything until proven otherwise, and if I don't, I'm more than happy. If I can't, I'm more than happy to turn around and tell you why it went wrong. That's why I call my channel Gary Keep It Simple. Because how many times have you... a little story for you. I used to work for a company that used to do prompting for broadcast TV. And they were making one of the first digital prompters. And interestingly enough, we used the original Sony Walkman as the data store for it. And I was talking to the design engineer, because I was I was manager of the workshop at the time. And I said to him, so how are you getting on? And he said, yeah, it's fine. We're using it's a Motorola chip, and they were using this thing to actually write direct to the memory map or something. I didn't get too involved with that, but he said, I said, well, what are you working on now then? Because just having a cup of tea. And he said, just trying to work out a 5-volt regulator. I said, oh, right, okay. And I looked at this diagram, and it had about 20 different components on it, and this, that, and the other. I said, it's complicated. It's got a good job to do, is it? A difficult job? Oh, no, he says, just a simple 5-volt regulator. I said, well, why don't you use a resistor and a diode then? If it's only a simple 5-volt regulator you want. Nah. I said, well, why don't you use a 7805 then? Oh, hadn't thought of that. What he was going to do was make a very, very good, excellent 5-volt regulator. It was a sort of 5-volt regulator that would last for donkey's years and wouldn't vary by more than a fraction of a volt at any given time. But he only wanted one to it was just to have a 5-volt rail for something, and it wasn't really necessary, as he said himself. Anyway, kind of long story short, he ended up using a 7805, which was more than adequate, and the company's still going, so it didn't do any harm. And that's what it is. the question as to why I have used that logo. Has anybody come up with an answer yet? Anybody want to type it in the comments or in the chat? See if you can think it, working on my sense of humour, which is bad to say the least. Why do you think I decided that it would be a good idea to use that logo? There is actually a method to it. I've been watching the cassette deck sites this week. Nothing a lot's happened on there. The same questions keep on coming up, but I think everybody can agree a Nakamichi is a very good deck, whatever one you've got. And if you've got a Nakamichi Dragon, then yeah, you're very lucky. I wish I could have a Nakamichi Dragon, but I don't know that I could afford to run one. It's a bit like a Rolls Royce. I'd like one, but I don't know that I could afford to run one. I've got 4 other decks. In fact, I've got a very nice Sony music system, which has got presumably a tension mechanism in it. I don't know. I'm going to have to pull that out and do a review on it. That's one I picked up for free, but the belts are probably melted now because I've had it a couple of years. Let me see what else. No. Well, in the absence of anything else coming up on there, which I'll have to wait a few seconds just to see if anything does come up, I might as well wrap this up, I guess. We're coming up to 9 o'clock. Anybody willing to guess as to what the logo was about? I've got 2 watching. And no, okay. Well, I should just have to keep you guessing then. Anyway, that was it. That was what I was interested in. Oh, I've got a couple of other reviews coming up. People are sending me stuff now, which is nice. If anybody wants a review done on anything, hold on, you just let me know. There's an email address within the channel details, and more than happy to. And I have said this before, and I'll say it again. If anybody has a question or a problem they want to see if I can give them a help or an answer with or whatever, more than happy to do so. I don't consider this YouTube to be a one-way thing. I consider that you guys are the bread and butter of the world, and if I don't have you watching, then there's no point in me being here. And so I'm more than happy to interact. If you've got a question, I don't know everything. I know I might come across as if I do, but I don't. But what I do know very often is where to look. And if I can be of any help whatsoever, then I'm more than happy to give it a go. I might just tell you where to go, as in who to talk to, or I might tell you not to touch something or to fiddle with something, or I might tell you how to adjust it. But it's an opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. However, I stake my reputation on my opinions, so it's worth having a go. Anyway, okie dokie. Nothing else come up on there. So at this point, I've been on now for, it says 29 minutes. No, hang on. What did it say on there? 33 minutes ago. So if I don't see anybody beforehand, well, I'm going to do another one of these next week, I hope. But, life might overtake. The cold might get better or worse. You never know. I know it's not COVID because I did a test. And hopefully I'll see some of you next week. Maybe we can make a regular date of this and possibly bring a couple of, three watching now. Oh, wow. That's another 50% increase. Anyway, I will have to go because nobody else has said anything on the chat. And I've run out of ideas. But, what's that? No, those were my metal tapes. And that's a Sabrint. No, I haven't got anything in here that's particularly of any interest. And so I will have to leave you. Love you and leave you. If you don't see me before, then we'll have a lovely Christmas. If you do see me before, then I'll wish you that next week. But anyway, I'm going to do another one of these next week. Come heaven and high water, or hell and high water. Anyway, whatever the water's doing next week, I'm going to try and do one of these. And I'd like maybe a few more people to turn up. And I'll see you then. Cheers. And Robert Fowler, thank you very much for putting the message on. Appreciate that. Cheers. Wonder where the end button is. Ooh, no, it's not there. It's on there. No, it's not. Tell you what, this is not as easy as you think. Now, it's on here somewhere. I just don't know where. Ah, no. This really is not easy. Bum ba dum bum. That's the wrong screen. So, and that's. I don't know where my main Zoom window's gone. Must be that one. Ah, I know what I've done wrong. Do you know what? This would be easier if I knew what I was doing. It would be a lot easier if I knew what I was doing. But anyway, I don't. And I can only keep on trying. Anyway, I'm going to leave now. So, cheerio. Bye-bye. I